Well, as we all know, the city of South Bend celebrated its 150th anniversary this year. It's truly been a banner year for South Bend, and the men to my left and the South Bend Cubs have been a major part of that. A lot of people don't know, though, that baseball has been a major part of this city's history ever since the city was founded. Matter of fact, in 1898, right near this very spot, there was the game of the year that was played against the Polish Turners and the South Bend Goose Pastures. Was anybody there at that time? Okay, so the Turners were slated to win that game, the Polish Turners. But a pitcher for the South Bend Goose Pastures named George Schmazzelrid had another plan. According to newspapers at the time, and there were several around then, South Bend Tribune being one of them, Schmazzelrid struck out 18 Turners. He hit a two-run triple and plucked line drives out of the air like they were cotton balls. The Goose Pastures won the game. The hero was Schmazzelrid that day. But the real story here is that he was a one-arm pitcher. Interestingly enough, though, it turns out that being one-arm pitcher wasn't his only handicap. His greatest handicap was that the newspapers couldn't spell his name right. With that little bit of South Bend lore, I wanted to introduce you someone who had never had a problem with the newspaper spelling his name right, Mayor Pete Buttigieg.
Thank you, Aaron, and let me not miss the opportunity to congratulate Aaron and the downtown South Bend team on a role. I believe we just succeeded in cutting a ribbon every month of the year in South Bend, right? Just the latest business opening downtown. So we're just thrilled by what's happened in the downtown and in the heart of the city. This is a decade that's going to be remembered as a transformational decade in the life of our city because of you, so many of the people here in this room, everybody from the community, the business community, and there's no way that anybody's going to be able to tell the story of what happened in South Bend in these extraordinary years without a big chapter belonging to the South Bend Cubs and what's gone on here at Four Winds Field. It is absolutely phenomenal what's gone on here, and so proud to note that, by the way, also proud to note that the president of the Midwest League is one of our own, Dick Nussbaum, and I'm sure we'll be hearing from him in a moment. But so proud of what Andrew Berlin and Joe Hart and your team have brought to South Bend. We often talk about being a city that tries to punch above our weight, that does things that people didn't think a city our size could do. And I think it's fair to say that when a 1A ball club gets the recognition for being the finest in all of minor league baseball, it's a fantastic example of punching above our weight right here in South Bend, Indiana. We are thrilled with what's happened, and should note that part of the criteria for that award, one of the many awards and records and recognitions that the Cubs racked up this last year alone. Part of that also goes to the relationship between the club and the community, and I think that this ball club would not be successful were it not for Andrew's big heart for the city of South Bend and this whole team and organization's commitment in so many different ways, from what goes on right here at the park to what goes on in the community through charity, some of it recognized, some of it rather quiet, all of it very meaningful and impactful for the city of South Bend. So I know with the snow flying in the morning, it's not the kind of day that makes you think about baseball. But this is the season that we think about family, time spent together, and why we love celebrating. And that's what we do so many nights a year during the spring and summer right here at Four Winds Field. I am thrilled to be able to help recognize the record-breaking and extraordinary year that the South Bend Cubs have had, and I cannot wait to find out what Andrew and Joe and the team have planned for the road ahead. Congratulations. Thank you for everything that you do, and we can't wait to be with you on the road going forward.
Thank you very much, Mayor Buttigieg, and all that have supported us throughout the years. When we came to South Bend, we completed our fourth season under this ownership, and I see so many friends that were friends on the day that we got here. We're supportive, maybe privately a little cynical, but that's to be understood. I have a few things to talk about, just a couple of things I want to announce. Was speaking with Four Winds, group is here from Four Winds. They've agreed to give up their naming rights. We're going to call it Schmazelrad Stadium. Going for, no, just kidding. I love that story, Schmazelrad. Is it true? I don't doubt that name. No. Supporters, many among them. We have fans here, we have media here. The Park District has been a great partner, the City Council, the Redevelopment Commission, the City of South Bend, the Mayor's Office, all across the board has been so supportive. And I have to say that I'm honored to be here. I love celebrating the events of just this past year. We have so much to be thankful for. There's so much that happened. The Cubs selected South Bend. They wanted to be here. They wanted to be here in the city-owned stadium that the folks of the city own. And it was a magnificent vote of confidence, not just for our stadium, but for all the good things that are going on in the city. And for the Chicago Cubs to select us over so many that coveted that affiliation it makes a great statement about the community, not just what we're doing here. But we built a lot here, and people think that our success is because of the Cubs. I just want to remind those first 3 seasons, our attendance was steadily climbing as a Silverhawks franchise. And for the Diamondback fans out there, they came out and their friends came out, and we had a really nice business going. Of course, it catapulted forward with the Cubs. But it's not just good ideas that make this franchise successful. It's not just because of our good ideas, whether it's building the South Bend Performance Center out in right field, or adding a grass field, or improving the food, or whatever we did. It wasn't just the ideas that made this company successful, this organization successful. It's because we got really good at recruiting. We recruited people for their traits, their warm heart, their kind heart, their ambition, their energy, their creativity and imagination, their integrity. And then we taught them baseball. We taught them how to delight in serving, and how to serve well, and how to prepare food well, and to build out a great stadium. But the skills were secondary, the traits were first. And when I met Joe Hart, the baseball winter meetings 4 years ago in Dallas, I knew right away this is a man that had the right traits. And what he did, the first thing he started to do was to build a great team around him, and that team built other teams. And so our success, these awards, this commendation really is all about the employees of the South Bend Cubs, all 300 of them. Whether part-time or full-time, they pulled together and delivered an amazing experience. And that's what really drove the attendance. That's what really drives the culture of this organization, but it's a culture that matches, I think, the gritty, hard-working, ambitious culture of this region, specifically of this city. And you would think that I sound like I'm listening to myself. I feel like I'm running for office. I'm not. This is an objective observation. A guy from Chicago, I didn't grow up here, but I came here and I've fallen in love with this area precisely because of the traits and the culture of this area. And this organization mirrors that in the community. So that's the first thing I want to say. I have 3 more things. They won't take as long. Number 2. We've made some improvements to the ballpark. I know some folks have asked us about this, and just very briefly, I'll rattle them off for you. You can see the South Bend Cubs Performance Center in right field. It's a brand new building. It's beautiful. So because it's so beautiful and so new, we're going to punch a whole bunch of holes in it, and we're going to throw a patio on the second floor, accessed from the second floor, and add almost 200 new seats overlooking the stadium. It'll be a party deck over there along with individual seating, and so that will be completed by opening day. We've improved the visitors' clubhouse to match how good the clubhouse is for the Cubs. It's not something the public will see, but you can feel good about it. For the last 3 seasons, it has been painted hot pink and soft powder pink for our visiting clubs. They'll be greeted, of course, with a nicer locker room going forward. We resurfaced the concourse to make it safer, and it has more of a grip on your shoes on those rainy days. And then also, we built a new kitchen to improve the quality of the food and to speed our lines for concessions along more quickly. So that was an important feedback we got from our fans. Those are kind of the major developments. There are some other areas as well that are not really, don't bear mentioning. Thirdly, and I'm almost done. As some of you may know, the South Bend Cubs purchased the two parcels outside, real estate parcels outside our left field fence and our center field fence. We purchased options on that property. We have begun meeting with developers, and what we're looking at right now and have renderings and drawings and concepts of a mixed-use facility that will be comprised of two buildings, I think approximately 140 apartments, many of which will have balconies on each individual apartment overlooking the ballpark for entertainment purposes and, of course, to help departments sell. You have a great view of the park. And also on top of the building will be a rooftop restaurants and concessions and party areas. I would say, dare say, even better than what Wrigley has, because the number of feet from the home plate to the viewing area will actually be less than all the way across Waveland. So if that makes us better than Wrigley, then this will be it. We only aspire to be. So we're looking at development there with retail and other areas, and more to follow on that. I don't have anything specific to show you, other than it's a very exciting process that we're engaging in right now. And then lastly, when I think about where great ball players come from, obviously they come from all over the country. They come from international places as well. It's no mistake to think that great ball players come from warm weather places, whether it be from the Dominican, Venezuela, Cuba, even Florida, and California. These warm weather venues and locales enable people to play baseball all year round. So as a consequence, many of the players come from these areas. So when we think about the South Bend Cubs Performance Center, it's warm in that building and all year round, and cool during the summer. We're hoping that children, more and more generations of children that come to the park, will be using this to develop their baseball skills and to contribute not only to their teams but the community, and hopefully have generations of players that come out of South Bend. And so to that end, the South Bend Cubs are announcing a scholarship for 5 deserving students. We're going to spend about $25,000 a year for deserving students that play on their baseball and softball teams in high school. And there'll be college scholarships for them going forward. So it'll be 5 $5,000 scholarships. Thank you. We'll offer this on an annual basis. The terms, conditions, rules of engagement, and deadlines will be offered in a press release that'll be coming out next week. But we don't just want to give back to the community in a philanthropic manner, but we want to drive children to the ballpark, to the Performance Center, to be better at what they do, but also help them as they get their education in college. Lastly, and then I'll turn it over to Joe Hart or Dick Nussbaum, to Joe Hart. It is 127 days, 6 hours, 10 minutes to April 7th opening day. For those of you who are doing the math in your head, that's a little bit less than 11 million seconds until opening day. We look forward to seeing all of you on April 7th. Again, I can't say enough about my appreciation for the fans and for the employees. I wouldn't be standing here having so much fun if it weren't for the relationship that we have together, this community and this ball club. Thank you very much.
Well, thank you, Andrew. There goes any sleep I'm going to get over the next 11 million seconds. So we can already feel the anxiety ramping up around here. And I want to thank everybody. As I look out here, it seems like every time we do an announcement, this room is full. And it says a lot about the community. It says a lot about our fans and the support that we have here. I moved here 4 years ago when Andrew purchased the ball club, and it's been an amazing experience for both me professionally, but also personally. It's a great community to live. It's a great community to raise family. So for us, as a staff and as an organization, we do everything we can to give back to your community because you've certainly welcomed us, and we're very appreciative of that. I'm going to say a couple more words before I turn it over to our league president, Dick Nussbaum, who has been a great friend of the organization. He's been very helpful as we've navigated over the last couple of years in South Bend and the Midwest League. But much like Andrew said, is many of our staff members, my full-time staff is here, some of our seasonal staff members are here. I can't say it enough, and I know Andrew mentioned it, but thank you. I mean, you guys have no idea. There may be 14 of us that are full-time, but as Andrew said, we have about 300 total, and and everybody pulls their own weight, and we've been able to do a lot of exciting things at this ballpark over the last couple of years. I have a lot of friends in this room that are not only friends, but they're also business associates of the ball club, and thank you for your support. I was talking with Dick Nussbaum last night, and somebody asked us the question, what does it mean to win the John H. Johnson Presidential Award? I've been doing this for 21 years, and for us it's very exciting, but somebody asked, the other question is, how much does that award really mean? I mean, I know it's a national award, but can you make it symbolic to something else? And Dick said it perfect last night. It is essentially the Heisman Trophy for minor league baseball. And obviously being here in Notre Dame country, people in this community certainly know about the Heisman Trophy. So for us at the minor league level, that's kind of what the equivalent is. And it's very exciting. But the other thing I want to say is it's certainly not an organizational award. It is a community award. It is something that this community and this city can be proud of. And I know we certainly are, and we were happy on this Sunday evening we'll be bringing home that trophy back to South Bend. And we're going to set up a place where people can come in and certainly view it and see it because, again, it's everybody's award. So without anything else further ado, and the other thing I must mention, I also get to deliver the good news that once this is done, we have hot dogs. As Andrew mentions, best hot dogs in baseball. What better way to get some ballpark food on a nice snowy day here in South Bend? But again, thank you all for everything that you guys have done for us as an organization, for all of us individually. And Andrew, we'd be remiss without thanking you because it really starts at the top with your leadership. You give us the ability to do what we need to do to be successful. You've taken great ownership in this club. You've taken great ownership in the city of South Bend. And for me, I know as somebody that's the president of the club and our staff, it means a great deal to us to have you involved as much as you are. So thank you very much. And Dick Nussbaum?
Thank you very much, and good afternoon. Thank you all for coming. Joe mentioned that he and I spoke last evening, and last evening was the holiday party for our office here in town, and it's a great venue for that, and we had a great time. It broke up about an hour and a half ago, so I want to thank everyone for getting things ready for this. But Joe, when I got to the office this morning, there was an invoice on the table, and I wanted to make sure we got it paid. And there was no president's discount, Andrew. But in all seriousness, this is a great place for your businesses and your families to have a celebration, even when a baseball game's not going on. So I just throw that out for Andrew. I'm here for two reasons. Number one, to be as brief as possible, which is difficult for a practicing lawyer. And number two, to perhaps provide some context for this award. It's called the John H. Johnson Award, and I don't know how many of you have already Googled to find out who this individual was, but I'd like to take just a couple moments to tell you about John Johnson. He was a lifer in professional baseball. He worked for the New York Yankees in the late 40s and the early 50s, and you baseball fans out there will know that that was the preeminent organization at that time. When Bowie Kuhn became the commissioner of baseball, John then worked for him. And in 1979, when the minor leagues were really weren't doing very well, and in fact, there were no facilities like this, and you really, if someone wanted to buy or to obtain a minor league franchise, they could just go get it because everyone was trying to give them away. Well, John Johnson came in to become the president of minor league baseball, in effect, the commissioner of minor league baseball. And over the next 8 or 9 years, unfortunately, he passed away in 1988, he helped make minor league baseball what it is today. And one of the criteria for this award is financial stability. And John brought financial stability to minor league baseball, and without him, none of this would be possible here in South Bend and across the other 159 franchises across the United States. So that's a little bit about John Johnson. My role as president, I'm very honored to be able to be the president of Midwest League, and individuals have asked me, well, what do you do? And I could go on and on about what I do. I can tell you it's all fun, but like any leader, like Mayor Buttigieg and Andrew and Joe, you try to foster a culture of excellence. And I just concluded my first year, and it was pretty clear that the culture of excellence was there on day one when I arrived, way before I became president. This year was an unbelievable year in the Midwest League. We have 16 teams in this league. We drew over 4 million fans, which was 10% of the entire fandom across minor league baseball. That's an incredible amount of percentage and market share, so to speak. The only leagues that were able to outdraw us were the 2 AAA leagues. So when you're talking about a league like the Midwest League, you're talking about a culture of excellence. And each league nominates someone for the John H. Johnson Award. And when you have the kinds of teams that we have in this league, for the South Bend Cubs to be nominated for the award and be the Midwest League candidate for the award is a tremendous honor in and of itself. And the South Bend Club is to be congratulated for that. But then to go to the next level and to win the award over 159 other franchises of 2 or 3 leagues higher than us, I think the mayor alluded to that. It is like the Heisman Trophy, as Joe said, but I also like to kind of compare it to the movie Hoosiers and the way things used to be in Indiana when there was a single-level basketball tournament, and the team in Milan beat, unfortunately, the big team up here in South Bend, the South Bend Central team. But it's the same kind of a thing, where the people here in South Bend, the organization, the community, have created an atmosphere that had them win over some big markets, big new stadium in Nashville, Tennessee. Lots of times this award is given to a city or franchise who just has opened a facility, or like Cedar Rapids in our league in 2008 has had an extraordinary incident. Unfortunately for them, it was a flood, and the way they reacted to it was being recognized with the John H. Johnson Award. But that's the kind of scope and honor that this should be recognized, and the congratulations is well earned. The final thing I'd like to say is this. 4 years ago, almost to the day, Andrew and I went, we've not yet met Joe, we went to Dallas, Texas for the winter meetings. And the purpose was to go around and to introduce Andrew as the prospective new owner of this franchise, and to get the approval of not only minor league baseball, but Major League Baseball. And obviously, Andrew went down there and had no problem getting those approvals. But we're now 4 years, and we're going to Nashville. And on Sunday evening, before probably 1,500 people in a room, Andrew's going to stand up, probably with Joe, and they're going to be given the John H. Johnson Award. Just think about that. 4 years. Where we were then, where we are now. And when Andrew says there's going to be a development out beyond the left field wall, center field wall, my money's on that. So stay tuned. Please visit as many Midwest League parks as you can, especially this one. And everyone have a happy holiday. And thank you, Andrew. Thank you, Mayor, for making all this possible. And Joe, for your friendship. Thank you.
For the media that's here, if you have any questions, we'd be ready to field them now for any one of us. Any fans have any questions? Okay, I guess we answered it all. A lot of information. I think, is lunch served? Yep. Lunch is served. Thank you very, very much for coming out, and we really do appreciate your ongoing support. There's more to come. Enjoy.